F.E.A.R, or First Encounter Assault Recon, is an exceptional blend of horror and first-person shooter. It was developed by Monolith Productions and originally released in 2005. Timegate Studios continued developing the game with expansions Extraction Point in 2006 and Perseus Mandate in 2007. Both expansions are solid additions to the game, but in this video I'll be focusing on the base game. The game puts you in the shoes of the Point Man, a member of a F.E.A.R team who have been deployed to contain a paranormal threat. Paxton Fettel, a psychic commander, has gone rogue and is telepathically commanding a battalion of clone super soldiers known as replicas. Fettel has seized control of Armacam Technology Corporation headquarters and killed all occupants. As the narrative progresses, you'll learn more about the ATC and gain an understanding for why Fettel has gone rogue. Phone messages, laptops, and news radio broadcasts will keep you intrigued and will steadily paint a picture of what's going on around you. As you learn more, you'll slowly start piecing together the disturbing truth.
Live on the scene. Thanks, Phil. We're being told that just before 5 p.m. today, gunfire was reported at the downtown headquarters of Armacam Technology Corporation, a major defense contractor. Now, what followed is unclear at this point. U.S. Army helicopters were seen approaching the building, but we've heard nothing since. Police are urging citizens to remain at home and say there is very little danger of the situation spreading outside of the cordoned area. Phil, back to you.
For a game that's 15 years old, F.E.A.R holds up incredibly well, and with minimal tweaking can still be a smooth experience today. I personally had to get a DLL file to fix an issue with my Logitech mouse that was causing a very low frame rate, and I lowered my mouse's DPI because I found the in-game sensitivity to be too high even at the lowest settings, but once I did those two things, the game looked good, ran perfectly, and was a joy to play from start to finish. When it comes to graphics, some meshes and textures do look quite dated, particularly the background assets like distant buildings, but surprisingly the majority of assets are actually still reasonably good, even by today's standards, and clever use of lighting and shadow helps to mask some of the game's age. More importantly, the lighting also helps create a feeling of tension and a fear of what might be lurking around the next corner, and combines with various other visual and audio cues, as well as the tone and ambience of the music and environment, to form a dark and uneasy atmosphere that keeps you constantly on edge. You'll frequently find yourself reacting to the smallest noise or thinking you see someone peeking at you from behind a wall or a window, and the game does a great job of knowing when to build tension, when to try scaring you, and when to ramp up or ease off the paranormal elements. Jump scares are few and far between, and the majority of the horror comes from the eerie and uneasy feeling the game constantly builds with its encounters, pacing and atmosphere, and the disturbing visions you occasionally experience.
Come on, make her push!
The locations you travel through during the game not only work as a great canvas for the horror elements, but they're also perfect locations for epic FPS action. You'll make your way through various industrial areas, warehouses and offices, and a lot of the locations will have at least some verticality and multiple routes. It pays to explore because you can sometimes find useful gear like health boosters, medkits or armor in out-of-the-way places. The verticality and multiple routes also give both you and your enemies the opportunity to attack from above or below, as well as the potential to flank. And that's one of the best parts of the FPS combat in F.E.A.R. The AI works brilliantly. There's not a huge variety of enemies, but every enemy you fight will always try to outmaneuver you. You'll hear them constantly communicating. They'll spread out and duck behind cover. If they have a shotgun, they might rush you. They'll throw grenades at you to try to flush you out, and yes, they'll flank you. The FPS combat is where F.E.A.R really shines. Movement and aiming feels smooth and responsive, and I love that you can lean left and right. It allows you to approach groups of enemies at the perfect angle. There's a decent variety of weapons, all of which feel quite unique in how they handle. There's pistols, a shotgun, an SMG, an assault rifle, some explosive weapons, a Gauss rifle, and of course, the penetrator, a gun that fires bolts that can pin your enemies to the wall. You can carry a maximum of 3 weapons, but I usually found myself sticking to the assault rifle for most situations. You also have access to a few different explosives, frag grenades, proximity mines, and sticky bombs, all of which can be quite useful for getting the edge in a fight. There are a few times that I use proximity mines to protect myself from being flanked. Another interesting aspect to the combat in F.E.A.R is that not only can you bash enemies with your weapon, which is the FPS standard, but you can also perform a variety of kicks with your weapon still equipped. You can do a slide kick, a double fly kick, and a roundhouse kick. And if you holster your weapon, you can add punches into the mix. The cherry on top of all of this is reflex time. You can press the control key to activate it. You'll continue moving reasonably quickly while your enemies move in slow motion. The reason you can do this is because your character has superhuman reflexes. Reflex time gives you the opportunity to have some extremely badass moments. Charging a mob of enemies with a shotgun and then following up with a kick, or lining up headshot after headshot, or setting off an explosive are all ridiculously satisfying. Visuals and sound effects during reflex time only add to the epicness, and you can also use it to deal with some difficult situations. All of the elements I've just talked about come together to create an exceptional first-person shooter experience that sits atop a solid foundation of eerie, atmospheric horror. The game is full of intense and engaging firefights set in excellently designed levels. And as you progress through the game, you'll experience beautifully crafted moments of tension and horror. All of this in a 15-year-old game that still holds up today. And that is why you should play F.E.A.R.